What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Sorry we're joining you a couple minutes late, but we'll make it up to you. We got a big show. We're going to be leaning into Monday Night Football. We got a college basketball pick, some fun picks as well. So stay tuned. Of course, we're going to have NBA as well. Let's see how we did on the recap screen. 8-11. That's not great. Brasco hits a couple. Well, hits the plus 215, which we like to see. Loses the plus 450. I lose my passing attempts play from last night. Almost got there. Chip Patterson goes 2 out of 3. Buckets goes 2 for 2. But 8-11 overall, that's not where we want to be. Let's bring in the stars of the show, ladies and gentlemen, and right this ship. And how about Will Brinson joining us on a Monday? Prop stars Mike McClure and Mikey B. Wow, gentlemen. You know what, Mike? I'm going to start with you. I know this is a big Monday Night Football day, but I got to get your initial reaction to the college football playoff ranking, Notre Dame being left out. Was that the biggest surprise? Was that something you wanted to react to? Miami getting in? Quick thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I really thought Notre Dame would still going to be put in based on where the previous rankings were. I thought they put them, with a gap intentionally to put them in. I think it's just an unfortunate product of the ACC not delivering and keeping a couple of those other teams out. Everybody would have been in at that particular point. What I would like to see is I would like this thing expanded to 16, right at 16, never expanded again, and essentially bring back the BCS and let's rate the teams and seed them that way. Essentially, you can have automatic bids, but to earn an automatic bid, you must be in the top 25 of the rankings. And if not, sorry, goes to the next highest qualifier. But there's a lot of ways to debate it. It's going to be debated no matter what we do. We change it to 16 and go to that. We're still going to have teams that ultimately get left out every single year. All I can say for Notre Dame there is, yes, it sucks that you lost that game to Miami head-to-head. You had the freshman quarterback. It was week 1. Very much a different result if they played at the end of the season, but you didn't. You had them on the schedule for week 1.
Will, follow up.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think the committee decided, and they've been kind of like all over the place in how they treat Notre Dame in these spots, but they basically decided to protect conference championship games and to send a message to Notre Dame that's like, hey, look, you can join a conference. You join a conference, you do have this protection as Notre Dame, but there are going to be instances where, as a result of not being if Notre Dame had joined the ACC, they would have won the ACC this year, and they would be in the playoff, no questions asked.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, the other thing is bowl games, they got to go. It's a participation trophy with a corporate logo on the trophy now. That's essentially what it is. I don't think they have to go in the sense that you got to get rid of them because it's a big financial deal. Just treat it like college basketball. Some of the most exciting parts of college basketball are the first few weeks when we have neutral site tournaments and exciting head-to-head matchups. Then they go off to conference play and have the big tournament. Just make the first couple weeks exciting bowl games and have fun matchups in neutral sites. You can still have them there, but yeah, I think we got to get rid of the bowl games. I think that you're going to see a ton of teams opting out, and I can't blame
a lot of teams opting out.
I would not. If I were on a team and I was a team there, I wouldn't show up for it. That's for sure.
My beloved Wolfpack accepted an invitation to the Gasparilla Bowl down in Tampa, and it looks stupid because if we waited 2 weeks, we might be in the Orange Bowl just because everyone's bailing out.
Mikey B, speaking of bailing out, we don't have a lot of NBA teams playing today. Kind of a funny slate with some questionables and things of that nature. Set that up for us. I know you have a pick later on in the show.
Yeah, you were talking about corporate sponsors. Well, the Emirates NBA Cup has thrown off the NBA schedule this week. There's only 3 games today. We have some injuries in basically all 3 of them, which makes picking very easy. Or very not easy. So I have 1 pick for today. I normally always come with 2, Sia, but we're not going to force it. Just 1 for today.
Yeah, and I have a fun negative correlation pick for today. We have other picks from Will and from Propstars and Mike regarding Monday Night Football, but Mikey B, there was some picks that I was considering, but I didn't want to force, especially being on a bit of a cold streak. I didn't want to just force a pick for Monday Night Football. So I have one of my negative correlated picks, which actually those have been hitting more than the official picks lately, if I'm being honest. So we'll have some fun with that. Proppy, before we get into Mike's pick, which is going to be the first pick, give me 20 seconds on the state of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles right now obviously haven't been playing great, but still in the mix. There's obviously no top teams in the NFC right now, so still some season left.
All right. The Rams would take exception to that last comment. Mike McClure, talk to me about the Eagles on the money line.
Yeah, I like the Eagles here tonight, guys. I know that the Chargers are a decent team. I won't call them a great team. They've had some key injuries so far this season. Justin Herbert playing literally a few days removed from surgery, albeit not necessarily something that could or should always keep him off the field. If this were earlier in the season, I do think he would sit this particular week and come back 1 week later. But I like the spot for the Eagles. I know that they caught the break with Dallas not going on the road and beating Detroit. That would have really muddied things up kind of within the division there for them. But I still like this particular spot for the Eagles. When I look at Jalen Hurts, I've seen a big enough sample size to think that he goes from an average starting quarterback. Yes, I'm calling Jalen Hurts an average starting quarterback to one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL throwing the football when he plays in a dome. The completion percentage jumps over 10% on a significant sample, up to close to 75% when playing indoors. He's someone that grew up, in the South in the warm conditions. I think it matters for him, and I like the controlled environment for that passing game, the way that they take some of those deep shots. I think that's a great thing for him. If you've watched this offense, yes, it's been a little lethargic at times. Some of it has been him simply missing throws. I like the spot for Philly. I made them right at a 3-point favorite, but I like them most specifically to get this job done on the money line. And I personally am not convinced that Justin Herbert is 100% ready to play in this particular game. So give me the Eagles here with a little additional rest on Monday night. I like the spot for the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. We've got some picks, potentially on the other side of this one as well. So we'll have some good debates here for sure. Proppy, let's go ahead and get to your pick. I'm curious where you lean on the side, if you have a lean there, but you certainly have an official play on Saquon Barkley.
Indeed, yeah. As far as the side is concerned, you think the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts and company, as well as the Chargers and Justin Herbert, these two defenses play really good football. And obviously it's reflected in the total here. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. And as a result, I think Saquon Barkley is going to struggle tonight against this Chargers rush defense that has been phenomenal recently. Since week 8, they ranked top 3 in nearly every single defensive rushing metric, EPA allowed per rush, success rate. Meanwhile, the Eagles' offensive line is banged up. Saquon just has not looked like the same guy. His efficiency metrics have really fallen off of a cliff this season, and his numbers still reflect the elite back that he was last season. And while I still think he's a very good player in the NFL for whatever reason, I think it's a wide scope of issues contributing to why he's failed to have success this season, or at least replicate what he did last year. So big number for Saquon here. It's a very difficult matchup. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, and I really think this Chargers defense is severely underrated, particularly their run defense. So I'm going to go under 71.5 rushing yards for Saquon tonight.
All right. We got under 71.5 rushing yards. We got just me and Mikey B on the show right now, apparently. So we'll get the other two back in just a second. Oh, there they are. Surprise. Hey, Will, can I ask you real quick? Because I think it was Rick Funcannon in the chat that said, I think he actually addressed it to Mike, but I want to give this question to you. Do you have any reaction to how the Bears covered the spread yesterday? Did you catch that? What happened?
The Raiders.
I'm sorry. The Raiders.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't have as a pronounced reaction as perhaps the founder of one independent internet company did on social media. But I would say this: so the angst about it is that the Raiders are down 10, I believe, to the Broncos. The Broncos get a tackle inbounds and then get flagged for delay of game because the Broncos player was laying on top of the Raiders player. The Raiders then run out the field goal team, kick the field goal, even though it's like all meaningless and there's no time left. There's no way they're going to cover. I think the pushback I would have is that when they run the field goal team out there, this isn't Pete Carroll being like, let's go cover the spread.
Right.
It's simply there's an analytics guy who is talking to the play callers and saying, all right, there is X time left on the clock. We are at X position on the field. The numbers say, and these guys are like ripping this stuff off. Like, they have the scenarios all in front of them. And they're saying you kick the field goal now, and then you try to get the onside and try to throw a Hail Mary. Now, there wasn't enough time for it. It wasn't realistic. But they're just, in these last second type of situations, they're just kind of, you're running off what the sheet says. And the sheet said to run the field goal team out there, to kick the field goal, to make it a one-score game. And, if you're gonna play to win, you play to win. And look, welcome to the NFL. It's bad beat city. I've seen worse.
I feel like that wouldn't have happened if Denver hadn't committed the delay of game penalty, though. I mean, isn't that ultimately on Denver?
Yeah, they
wouldn't have gotten to the line to be able to kick a field goal. It would have been they wouldn't have even been able to spike the ball. So I mean, that's ultimately on the Denver Broncos there. And by the way, I said Bears because I know Rick is a big Bears fan. Which I gotta say, Bears were really competitive.
I had the Packers in the circa millions, and we're 4-0 to start the new quarter. I was like, at least I counted the Packers as a win. Did the Bears cover?
Yeah, that's on me. That's on me. All right, we're going to get to first touchdowns later in the show. We still got more Monday Night Football picks to get to. I do want to let you know that you get your stake back in cash if your first touchdown scores second instead. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. That one courtesy of BetMGM. All right, we got a SportsLine pick as well. A little light on SportsLine picks on this Monday morning. We do have Penn -5.5 at -120. That one courtesy of Bruce Marshall. I've got a negative correlation play. We've got an NBA play. We've got all of Will Brinson's plays, and we've got your questions. Also, I think there's a birthday in the chat. Is it John Chalik? Is that how you pronounce your name? Everybody say happy birthday to John in the chat. Love to see that. Anybody else has a birthday, let us know so we can give you a shout out. We got to shout out some more picks right after this message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
We're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Mikey B, you've got an NBA play. It's on one Jay Huff. Before you get there, do you have any opinions on this NFL game tonight?
I just don't feel good picking the Chargers with the Herbert hand thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw what happened with Aaron Rodgers with his wrist thing or whatever it was. I mean, I would pick the Eagles simply because I don't know how the hand thing is going to play out with Herbert. So
I do feel like there's a lot of unknown, and that could be to the benefit of the Chargers bettors because he could be fine, by the way. And there's a lot of unknown in that backfield. I wanted to take Omarion Hampton over, I think it was 43.5 rushing yards. I wanted to take his over 11.5 rushing attempts because I think he'll be, relatively speaking, a full go. But I'm just nervous about that. I'm not 100% sure how he's going to look and how much Kamani Vidal is going to contribute there. All right, Mikey B, talk to me about Jay Huff, and then we'll circle back to football.
All right, so we're going to do Jay Huff over 10.5 points here at -115. The Pacers are playing the Kings tonight. The Pacers have been searching for centers all season. They may have found their guy here in Huff. He started each of the last 5 games, averaged 24 minutes during that span. He scored at least 11 points in 4 of those 5 games. This game is being played in Indiana, which is important. Huff has shot 46.4% from the field and 41.4% from 3 at home. On the road, 40% from the field, 20% from 3. So that's really bad. The Kings have the 5th worst defensive rating in the league. No Domantas Sabonis. Keegan Murray is questionable. So I'll take Jay Huff over 10.5 points. And see, I just want to mention, like we said, there's only 3 games tonight. The other 2 games, we've got the Suns are playing the Timberwolves. Dylan Brooks is questionable. That's important on both sides because he's been one of the leading scorers for the Sun, and he's such a good defender that could impact the Suns players. So we got to be really careful there. And then the other game, the Spurs, the Pelicans, Stephon Castle's questionable for the Spurs as well as Luke Cornett, and Herb Jones might be coming back for the Pelicans. Herb Jones, very good defender. So those 2 games we want to stay away from completely until we find out who's in and who's out.
All right. Ryan Kofter says, Jay Huff, UVA, reverse dunk king. Shout out to UVA, who almost made the college football playoff, and shout out to UVA for losing to Duke so that my James Madison Dukes could actually make the playoff. That was some pretty exciting stuff. Darian Mensah was pretty solid in that game and ended up being the difference like he usually is. But speaking of reverse dunks, how about a reverse correlated SGP? It's the only thing I've been good at over the last 2 weeks is these negative correlated SGPs on a receiver. So This is my play for tonight. I may end up making an official play. I was leaning towards A.J. Brown overs. I was leaning towards Omari and Hampton overs. I don't know that I'm going to make those official. So let's go Quentin Johnston. Again, negative correlated SGP here. We're going Quentin Johnston, 50-plus receiving yards, under 3.5 receptions, and an anytime touchdown. That's 23-1. If you recall, the very first one of these, and I've only hit a few, the very first one of these I hit this year was actually on Quentin Johnston. I believe it was week 1, and I believe it was 22-1. In that case, I think his receptions were 2.5 instead of 3.5. But it ended up paying 22-1. I think we had him at 40+ instead of 50+, but things have changed now with Quentin Johnston. So we're going to hope he gets 3 receptions or less. We're going to hope he gets lost against the defense, at least on one play, gets behind the defense to get maybe a 40-yard touchdown pass, gets the extra 10 yards he needs. Let's have some fun. These are, by the way, just sprinkle plays. We're putting maybe 0.2 units on this, something like that, something for fun with the big payout at 23-1. But give me QJ in that reverse correlator. All right, let's get to, we have more questions to get to, but Will Brinson, I want to get to your Monday Night Football picks as well.
Yeah, so I would say on this game to be really cautious about like trying to hammer a bunch of props, particularly if you're combining, because not only do we have like a 41.5 point total, which is really low, and maybe it's like even 40.5 in some spots. But if you look at these props, you have like, I think it's like 211 over under for Justin Herbert passing yards, which is extremely low, 193.5 for Jalen Hurts. Like, and then you take a look at the Chargers and sort of what they've been doing in terms of usage. Like you're seeing wide receivers are playing like 76% of the snaps, right? I mean, that's really low for a team. The point being is like, don't go out there and be like, all right, I'm going to hit like 7 different wide receivers to get X number of yards or X number of receptions in those same game parlays you see on Twitter all the time. Just be careful of that tonight. It feels like this could be a low scoring rock fight. And I think it will be. Amari and Hampton back to the Chargers. I like the Chargers getting the 2.5. And I don't like being head to head with Mike McClure at all. But I do think this is a spot for them at home. Yeah, Justin Herbert's dealing with the injury, but it is to his non-throwing hand. This is a chance for them to really grab a hold of a playoff spot with the Chiefs losing last night, the Texans winning, and not just a playoff spot, but really put the Chiefs in dire straits. And so I think that they come out at home. I think Herbert plays well enough. I like Ladd McConkey over 4.5 receptions. I know I said not to do the reception thing, but I do think against this Eagles defense, they will want to pepper Ladd underneath, get the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands quickly, not have him take any shots to that left wrist. And you can do those Ladd looks from shotgun where he won't have to take it under center and turn around and do the weird Aaron Rodgers thing we saw a few weeks ago. So I think at plus money, I like Ladd to catch a few balls quickly underneath to kind of get Herbert in rhythm early on. And then the other one I like, Ben, put it up because I forgot it. I texted you. Yes, thank you. Justin Herbert, no interception, -110. That's a really low price for Herbert, who doesn't throw a ton of picks. And I think the injury is affecting the price. I don't think they're going to try to throw much. I think both teams are going to operate really slowly in this game and maximize the amount of play clock they use. Try to run the football, try to play field position. I think it'll look a lot like it looked last night between the Texans and the Chiefs, just in terms of defensive playing or defensive performance from both teams. And we just don't see a ton of offensive output, but also don't see a ton of offensive play. So I like Herbert, no interception as well. And somebody asked about my hat. It's actually Chessie Creek Club down in South Carolina, heading down there next week to warm up for my defense as member guest champion from last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice brag. I absolutely love to hear it. Okay. I've got a couple of announcements before we get to some player props that the chat is considering. First of all, Jason Pogwist, I believe you are Pogo Picks. I think I've got that right. I know the handles have changed a little bit. Jason says, my daughter turns 13 today. Can we get a shout out to Sydney for her birthday and to completely dad embarrass her? Sydney Pogwist, a very happy birthday on behalf of your dad and this entire Early Edge family. I don't know if that's dad embarrass or not. I don't really know how to do that, but
should we do like a clapping, like happy, like really humiliate her like on her birthday? I like to, my son gets mad at me. He's 11. I like to sing in the grocery store, like dance in the grocery store. He's like, Dad, quit it. Like that's dad embarrass.
What do you sing though? Like Like just a random song?
Like Whitney Houston loudly while like running through he's like, what are you doing, you freak?
We got to get that on video. Sean Betty says Saquon, AJ Brown, or Devontae Smith over receiving yards. Do you lean on any? So, Proppy, I'm going to go to you. I did mention that I like AJ Brown over receiving yards, and I think somebody else, Jay Long, likes it as well. He says 60.5 receiving yards. No, what I have found, we know the Chargers play a ton of zone. What I have found, or what I've seen, is that AJ Brown is actually getting a lot more looks against zone as of late. And I do feel like with such a condensed target share with basically Devontae, AJ Brown, and a touch of Dallas Goedert, I do feel like even if the volume is low, like it usually is for Hurts, that AJ Brown could get there. But I assume your answer, Proppy, is going to be it's an efficient number.
Yeah, I think all these numbers are efficient. Again, this is just not the game I'm really comfortable playing many overs in. Brinson mentioned very low total here. Both these defenses playing well. Eagles offense has also been sputtering a ton here. So I just don't have a lot of confidence really in the Eagles aerial attack right now. So I'm not playing an Eagles pass catcher tonight.
Mike McClure, go ahead, Will.
Well, I was just going to say, I think like the problem with the Eagles and these passing props is that you don't know what you're getting from Kevin Patullo. Like they could come out and run the ball 40 times to start this game, or just like run or 20 times to start this game, or they could come out and it could be like Jalen Hurts dropping back and slinging it to AJ Brown early. Like we've seen both things. We've seen them be successful passing the ball early in games and play well on offense, like 2 games going into their bye, and they're coming out, you're like, all right, the Eagles offense just might be back. And then they just completely stop doing what works. So I think that's the biggest concern, is that the unknown of what the play calling will look like, tonight, especially with Nick Sirianni being asked if he's going to take over play calling and rumors about that sort of stuff going on. I just think it's hard to pinpoint what the Eagles attack will look like on offense.
Mike McClure, I did mention that we have some picks on both sides of the aisle. Obviously, you have the Eagles money line. Will is taking the points, which for the record, you both can hit those bets. But you also have a position, because I know we were talking pre-show. Now, it's not an official play or anything, but you also have a position on a Saquon alt line. Can you just talk to me about maybe the potential for, I understand we have the under on his regular prop, but maybe the potential that if he goes big, he goes really big.
Yeah, it's mostly a play on the number as well. Sia, there's one particular spot where you can find Saquon 100-yard game at plus 350. It's between 275 and 290 elsewhere. So for me, it was mostly just a play on that number. But I do like for Philly the fact that it's a more comfortable environment for the offensive line, and it is a mini bye. So they played on Friday, have all the way to Monday night here. So it's essentially, the normal mini bye you talk about if you play Thursday night football and then Sunday. So I like this spot for Philly's offensive line. Getting the mini bye would be Saquon 100 plus yards plus 350 is currently the number. And I would probably correlate it with the Philly money line. And at that point, it's up to plus like 450, 470 range.
Go ahead, Proppy.
I would agree with Mike that if Saquon does have success tonight, I do think that's likely to result in an Eagles victory. But also worth noting with this Eagles team, Lane Johnson has been just an absolute linchpin for this Eagles offensive line. The splits with him on and off the field throughout his career, especially recently, are drastic. He is out for this game. Further just making things difficult, in my opinion, for the offense as a whole, not just Saquon. So that's a massive blow to this Eagles offense.
Well,
and those splits that Proppy's talking about with Lane Johnson on and off date back across multiple quarterbacks. So this is not like a Jalen Hurts, like when Lane Johnson would go out, Carson Wentz would collapse. And he just mattered. Like he's one of, just in terms of like linchpins for offenses, he's one of the most important guys out there that isn't a quarterback.
Will, any thoughts? D. Johnson asks on Kamani Vidal over 9. It's really 9.5, I think, or maybe it's gone down to 8.5 because I think the 9.5 was juiced to the under. So around 9 rushing attempts for Kamani Vidal. Obviously, we know Amari and Hampton's back. Will, this is kind of an unfair question because there's no way to like really accurately answer this. But go ahead.
So I think one, you would, if you're going to take the over on Kamani Vidal rushing attempts, I think that one, you would probably want to be thinking that the Chargers are either going to cover, keep this game close, or win outright. Because if the Chargers are in that position, they're throwing less, they're running the ball more. Two, I like the over on 9 because Kamani Vidal has filled in fantastically for Mario Hampton since he's been injured. This is Hampton is a guy they took in the second round. They have a high draft capital in him. They're not going to try and run him into the ground as a rookie when they think they're a playoff team. And so if the Chargers are going to run a lot, and if Hampton is coming back from injury and he's been out, on IR for a month plus now, I think it's more likely that this is closer to a 50-50 split than the sort of 60-40, 70-30 number that the markets are showing. So yeah, like I would, as someone who is backing the Chargers, and as someone who thinks the Chargers are going to try to run the ball a pretty decent amount, I would take the over on Kamani Vidal rush attempts because I think you're getting a discount given the Amari and Hampton news.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is largely 60-40 though, because I think the Hampton rushing attempt prop is in that 11.5 range. So they're really just
11.5 or something.
Hampton's going to have just a 2 to 3 more carries than Vidal, which is, again, if Hampton's going to be back, I do think he's the better runner, and I do think he probably gets to 12 carries. But I mean, it's not something I'm willing to put my money on here. Let's get to some more questions. Let's go to NBA real quick, Mikey B. Any thoughts on Julius Randle over 5.5 assists or 26.5 points and assists?
Yeah, I'd go over the 26.5 points and assists there. The Suns are not, I mean, they have Mark Williams, but then the rest of their interior is not great. The only thing you got to worry about is if Dylan Brooks doesn't play. They're already without Devin Booker, so you're running into potential blowout territory with Grayson Allen and Colin Gillespie leading the Suns. But I would lean towards the over on the 26.5 points and assists.
Am I hearing Grayson Allen and Colin Gillespie props overs there?
Well, that's the thing. That was on my radar, but you got to see what happens to Dylan Brooks because Dylan Brooks now has become a certified chucker on the Suns this year, and especially with Booker out. His usage rate's up like over more than 10 percentage points compared to last season. So Dylan Brooks is a chucker, so you got to see if he's in or out.
Mike, how do you like this number? Gipper's Picks in the chat. Obviously, he's super sharp in UFC, NFL, and a lot of other things. He says Justin Herbert 2+ touchdown passes at plus 131. Obviously, we're not expecting a lot of points. I guess my question for you is this number plus 131 tantalizing enough to authorize the play?
Not for me. I get it. Like I totally get the interest. It's very appealing when you see, this number that could routinely be closer to even money be plus 130 here. My caution would be the Eagles defense is very good. If you get the Eagles to come out and have success running the football, now you're talking about very limited possessions in the game because the Eagles will chew up 6, 7, 8 minutes at a time. I get that it's very enticing with that, but they also have a healthy backfield coming into this game for the potential to run the football in the red zone. So for me personally, I would rather not speculate in a positive direction on Herbert, but that's also kind of indicative of me being on the Philly side of this game. If you're very adamant on the Chargers side, or if you want to play that bet, I would correlate that bet and just simply take the Chargers money line as well.
Yeah, and then hope one of those touchdowns.
You have a sub 42 over under, so you're talking about 6 touchdowns total across the game, basically an even split. So that's 3 for the Eagles and 3 for the Chargers at max. And so you have to hit 2 out of 3 of the Chargers. If the total is spot on and the game doesn't go way under, you have to get 2/3 of those Chargers touchdowns. And we could see a 12-point Cameron Dicker game, and all of a sudden there's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of getting those touchdowns if you believe the market for the total is accurate.
We've got Buckets in the chat. He says good morning to everybody. And we got Big Cheesy playing the Larry Hartstein role, who, of course, is usually on the Monday show and is usually on the Monday 12 o'clock show on CBS Sports Network, which we'll have for you today. Again, over on CBS Sports Network today, an expanded version of the Early Edge at 12. But Big Cheesy taking the Larry Hartstein role. He says Zach Bond over 7.5 tackles and assists at minus 125. Absolutely love that. Let's get to some first touchdown scores. We'll get back to some of your questions. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm going to start things off with A.J. Brown, but Mikey B, why don't I give you the floor? A.J. Brown plus 950. Again, condensed target share. If the Eagles are going to score a touchdown, only a couple of guys, maybe a few guys that are probably going to get it.
Yeah, through week 10, A.J. Brown only had 5 red zone targets all season. Over the last 3 games, he had 6 red zone targets, and 3 of them or I'm sorry, 5. Yeah, 3 of them came from inside the 10-yard line. So, he got 3 touchdowns over that span. The Eagles seem to be forcing him the ball more, especially when they get in close. So at almost plus 1,000, that was my pick.
Well, we just talked about Kamani Vidal. I mean, he's either the starting running back or certainly the 1A. Talk to me about plus 1,300.
Yeah, the other one I looked at is what Proppy's got. But I think Vidal here, all right, if we talk about the Chargers getting down to the goal line and using Amari Hampton to get down to the goal line, I think there's a decent chance that they're subbing these guys in and out. And that when you talk about those condensed area touches, where like the most physical touches are down by the goal line, they may not want to put their recently off IR rookie running back in there to smash the ball up the middle against a very difficult Philly defense. And so I think Vidal could end up seeing some of those goal line touches, particularly if Hampton gets the first set of carries to get them down to the goal line. And I think because of the split, because of the way that the Hampton coming back has sort of changed the market here. Vidal at 13-1, like normally he'd be 5-1 if he was the starting running back.
Mike, before we get to your Saquon Barkley pick, Buckets has a pick in the chat, which I always love. He says, going to take over 1.5 goals live. Oh, it's a live pick. So I probably missed the boat because he put that in 6 minutes ago. But 6 minutes ago, he liked Parma over 1.5 goals. So yeah, maybe I'm a little late on the trigger there. Mike McClure, talk to me about Saquon.
Yeah, but once again, number on Saquon. I get that the rushing game kind of at an all-time low in Philly, and the price point to me reflects it. You heard Will essentially reference Kamani Vidal would be pretty close to this number if he were the starting running back on the other side. I like Saquon in this particular spot. His offensive line, again, in a controlled environment, it's very comfortable to play in. I know that you think of those guys as being big and gritty and wanting to play outdoors in the elements. It's still a lot more comfortable, particularly this late in the season, to play indoors in a controlled environment, coming off the mini bye, additional rest, huge at this time of year for them. But again, just the number. And I would say that if you don't like this, or if you'd rather play an anytime touchdown, plus 110 on Saquon, I've got the number at 56%, meaning I've got the true odds at that at minus 127. So I rare anytime touchdown edge on a guy like Saquon Barkley. If you're comfortable leaning into it at plus 110, I like his anytime as well.
All right, Proppy, I think it's hard for people to distinguish in terms of which one of these pass catchers for the Chargers do we take? You like the value, at least, of Oronde Gadsden at plus 1,300.
Indeed, yeah. He's just a matchup nightmare. Very impressed with Gadsden. I'm surprised he's not utilized more, just considering some of his athletic traits and profile, and watching him earlier in the season. Very impressed with Oronde Gadsden. So just considering where everyone, all the other numbers here, I think Gadsden is a difficult matchup for any defense. So yeah, we'll go with the young tight end.
Proppy, do you have, from a pass catching standpoint on the Chargers, is there somebody that sticks out to you, or again, there was just really no edge? I mean, obviously we're talking about Keenan Allen, who I kind of like from a reception standpoint. We're talking about Ladd McConkey, who I know we have a pick on, Quentin Johnston, Oronde Gadsden, and that's pretty much it. I mean, Trey Harris might get a catch or two. Any edge there on any of the pass catchers?
Keenan Allen's interesting to me. Keenan Allen plays a lot more when the Chargers are playing from behind. Those scenarios they're forced to play, or they do like to play 3 wide receiver sets. So you see his route participation jump up in trailing game scripts. This looks like one of those spots where I think it's going to be a competitive game. So in a situation where I felt like the Chargers were going to be playing from behind, much more comfortable taking Keenan Allen. He does draw a lot of targets when he's on the field, but his route participation, Brinson talked about this earlier, is not where you want it to be for a full-time player. So if there was a guy I was going to take on the Chargers, it would definitely be Ladd McConkey.
I did mention some announcements, and I got to a couple of them. We had some birthday announcements. I do want to announce, if you all recall, on Friday, we were 6 wide. It was like full Brady Bunch mode because we had the sniper on, Matt Snyder, and he was talking about the new book he wrote, The Leadoff Man. Well, I am happy to tell you that that book is now out on Amazon. When he was on the show, it wasn't out yet. There was some sort of approval process. It has been approved. I think he tweeted something out recently. He texted some of us in the Early Edge family yesterday saying the book was out. So again, Matt Snyder's published a book. It's called The Leadoff Man. If you're interested in getting it, it is available. So go to Amazon and grab that product from, of course, Matt Snyder. There was one other thing, Mike. I hate to close the show this way, and we're going to get to the recap screen. Liddy says he's already bought his copy. That is awesome that you've already gotten that, Liddy. Me and Buckets have already gotten ours as well, and I'm sure many others have as well. But some of you didn't even know it was out yet. The leadoff man from Matt Snyder. Mike, your Chiefs lost yesterday. It does feel like maybe they're actually out of the playoffs at this point. Just your reaction. I mean, you have been a guy that has been obviously a Chiefs fan and just like watch this team figure it out every single year and win a ton of Super Bowls. Just give me your commentary on what you saw last night and what that means for the Chiefs going forward.
Yeah, it's. I think they're likely done. They obviously, number one, you have to win out, but you probably need 2 or 3 very specific losses to occur, and all of those will be, even money shots at best individually. So look, I think that this is a situation where they probably are not going to make it. I think the more concerning thing, losing another offensive lineman, if they are going to do this, they're going to do it literally down 4 offensive linemen to have to do it. The only thing I would say is last night in the third quarter, defensively, they look like the best defense in the NFL. You saw the desperation on that side of the ball. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done for them there. So I think it's a big uphill battle. They've got they have to win out, and they need some help. One thing that would certainly help would be a Chargers loss tonight, but certainly far from everything that they're going to need. And we won't exactly know everything they're going to need for probably 2 more weeks.
I thought it was kind of interesting too. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump in there.
No, go ahead.
I thought it was interesting that like Andy Reid on that 4th down that he went for, and Tirico and Collinsworth questioned it. Yeah, the analytics say go for it, but like your defense is playing so well.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about this particular, like the way that this is the run out has gone for the Chiefs, it's honestly been like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid who have kind of let them down. And like, the offensive line actually played kind of, decent considering the circumstances last night. Kelce was just some monster drops. It's someone who's like, you see the whole Brady thing and the Patriots run out, and then you see the Chiefs. Like this feels too early to like feel like it's over. But I mean, they're not dead. But I mean, man, it's a shocking outcome.
From a pure betting perspective, I had the over 34.5 pass attempts on Patrick Mahomes, and I just needed Kelce not to drop that ball. It was a little behind him in his defense. I needed him to not drop that ball because they're passing the rest of that drive, and I probably hit by 1 or 2 passing attempts there. And then all you needed to do was stop. Once the interception happened, you just needed a 3 and out, and you'd have a minute and a half to do some work and get over that prop. I was extremely disappointed after the way I lost the Chris Rodriguez bet as well. Mike, give me the last word on this.
Yeah, so you suffered quite a few drop passes throughout the game. I know Noah Gregg dropped a couple of big ones. Rashee Rice, obviously, at the end, really should have caught that one. To be honest with you, I don't think Rashee Rice should have been out on the field. He was definitely in the concussion protocol after he took that hit. You could see it, and he realized in something within realizing he just got up because he knew if he laid there another 10 seconds, he was done. Like he was going to be pulled from that game.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of understood that there, but he definitely was not right after he took that big hit.
He pretended that he got something in his eye. And that was a smart move by him, at least under the circumstances, if he wanted to stay in. Oh, let me pretend I stayed down for a quick second because there was something in my eye instead of just getting rocked, which is exactly what happened there. All right. I think we can close the book there. We're going to have more on the Chiefs. I think we're going to start the show talking some storylines on CBS Sports Network today at 12 o'clock. So make sure you tune in there. Let's see. I just want to note, Profit Capper reposted this stream some 3 minutes ago. When y'all are watching on Twitter, I want you to know 2 things. You can jump into the Twitter conversation. You don't have to be on YouTube to ask questions. You can jump into Twitter, click on the image that you see, and you'll be able to ask questions from Twitter if that's where you're watching. But also reposting the stream. We absolutely love to see that. So, I mean, you don't have to do that, but I really appreciate that because that gets more awareness about the show. And Big Cheesy says, Sia, my daughter loves your wife's book, Penny Patel Makes a Pizza. We read it last night. I absolutely love to hear that. Gigi Najad has some children's books out there. If you want more information on that, just ask me. But Big Cheesy, I really appreciate you saying that. All right, let's get to the recap screen and stop shilling books. All right, Quentin Johnston. This is a negative correlated SGP. Again, it's a very small, fun play. I didn't have an official play for Monday Night Football, so I wanted to come out with something. And these are plays that I make pretty much every primetime game. If I find the right receiver, QJ is the right one. 50 plus. receiving yards. That's an alt line, by the way. Under 3.5 receptions and a touchdown. Anytime touchdown, that's going to pay 23 to 1. Will Brinson has 3 picks. Chargers +2, -110. Ladd McConkey over 4.5 receptions at +115. And Justin Herbert, no interception at -110. Mike McClure makes it easy. Eagles money line, -130. And of course, Propstarz Saquon Barkley under 71.5 rushing yards at -115. Mikey B has Jay Huff in the NBA tonight over 10.5 points at -115. Don't forget, during the 40 minutes this show went, we had a lot of conversation specifically about Saquon Barkley and maybe some alt line overs that don't necessarily complement Proppy's pick, but you got to listen to the conversation and see where you want to make the play there. Let's talk about our one SportsLine pick. It is in college basketball. We're going Penn -5.5 at -120. Then we go to first touchdown scores. AJ Brown says me and Mikey B. Will Brinson, Kamani Vidal at +1,300. Saquon Barkley for Mike McClure at +600. And Oronde Gadsden +1,300 from our guy Propstarz. A lot of birthdays in the chat. Everybody, thanks for being in here. As the show goes, we get more and more people in here, which we absolutely love to see. And again, I can't thank you enough if you ever retweet this show. And again, you don't have to do that, but if you ever do, it always helps the show out. If you come over and you subscribe to SportsLine and get involved in the chat and hit the like button, all of those things, that certainly helps the show out as well. But we got to help you out because we've had some underwhelming recap screens, and we hope to turn it around tonight for Monday Night Football and our NBA and college basketball picks. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Will Brinson. Thank you, Propstarz. Thank you, Mikey B. And of course, thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Ben, we should have had you on the show. Maybe you can gloat tomorrow or later in the week about Indiana because that was an awesome win. And I gloated a little bit about JMU. You get your time in the sun later on this week to gloat yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. Thanks for joining us. See you next time on The Early Edge. We rest our case.